Hello everyone, it's Maha. It's really great to be with you once again. Thank you for being here. Okay, so I'm doing a video response today to Mystic Rose Tarot. I also wanted to just send a shout out to her because she's been so supportive throughout this journey with me here on YouTube. Um, really supportive for my tarot astrology videos, and I've just enjoyed her company here. And I really liked the question that she posed for all of us in response to her video. I'm making this at the same time. I thought it would be a really great segue into what I wanted to talk about on my channel as well, what I had planned on discussing, which I felt it was synchronistic because the topic was sort of what I was thinking of talking about, except I just didn't really know how I would approach it, especially because it hasn't been so easy for me to talk about in general. But timing of things is really interesting these days. One thing I'm noticing is the synchronicities are just like appearing much, much more than ever and more magnified than ever. I guess the more we notice synchronicity in our lives, the more it shows up, the more it shows itself up for us. So, uh, Mystic Rose Tarot, I'm going to post her video down below so you can go and watch that. And I hope I'm understanding what she was asking clearly. Basically, I guess she wanted us to talk about aspects of our spirituality, and I think it's really, really wonderful that she posed that because it's something that I feel is not really talked about in this community. Funny enough, it's almost like at least I feel like it's not happening as much as I would like it to. I'm not seeing people share so much about what they do and what challenges they face, what awakenings and realizations they come upon. So Mystic Rose's video response title is, sorry, my video response to her video, the title or the question was, the title is Shed Your Truth, and the question was, what awakenings have you had in your spiritual journey so far? Or if not, if you don't want to approach it that way, are there any blocks that you're facing currently? So shed your truth. And it's a very deep topic, and it's one that I've thought about a lot because if you watched my video previous to this one, I had taken a really long break and I came back talking about some really difficult things that I faced this year, challenges with my own health, but also the loss of my beloved parrot, Daisy, which was one of the most difficult and painful, challenging losses that I've ever had in my life. And I really didn't think it would hit me as hard as it did. I really didn't expect that. As much as I knew how close we were and the strength of the bond that we had, I don't know, I just never really, first of all, I didn't ever think that it would happen. She was sick for a long period of time. I'm not going to really get into it because I don't want to talk about that right now. It's still a very sensitive topic. So she was sick for several months, and then when she passed away, I wouldn't say that I fell into depression or anything. It's just that, I mean, obviously you go through depression when you're grieving. I'm still grieving. It's not a happy place to be. But the loss of it, like, it just made me realize so many things. Like, the depth of that experience was so transformative. And it's interesting how we connect. Obviously, we always talk about death being transformative, but we shy away from death. You know, the topic of death is very taboo. Even if you think about it, even in tarot, the death card is sometimes, even in some decks, they change the title to like metamorphosis, transformation, transmutation. I think we shy away from death itself, the rawness of it, the pain of it. And a lot of times, I mean, one big discovery that I made through this process was I realized that as much as we separate death from life, like we put life on this side of the spectrum and then death on the other side, as much as we separate these two, actually, the truth is that we have birth and death on two opposite sides, and birth and death are both a part of life. So life includes death. But in our modern societies, one thing I've been thinking more and more about is how much we push away death. We don't want to face it. Not only do we not want to face it, we don't want to talk about it. Not only that, we don't want to be around people that are sad and grieving and suffering. This is what I've noticed. Ever since this happened with Daisy, I noticed that very few people in my life could actually be around me when I was expressing my sadness. And this was kind of shocking for me, actually, because to me, it's kind of natural that when something passes, you feel really sad, and that you want to be naturally around your friends and your loved ones. You want to talk, you want to share your pain. But I learned that many people do not want to be there to share your pain, and many people want to be there when you're happy. So it's like this happy part of life is really embraced, but then this dark part of life is not. I have two Facebook accounts. One of them is my friends and family members and friends from all walks of life in my life. And then I have the other one, which is my YouTube friends, my people, some of you who are on my Facebook. And then very few close family members and friends. I find that people that I've known through this group outside of my real life are much more comfortable talking about death. Not only that, they have so much more empathy when it comes to animals, number one, and two, losing your companion animal. I mean, Daisy was everything to me. Like, I'm not gonna go there right now, but so this loss was it deepened my soul, and it deepened my spiritual path, because I was really facing it alone. I felt like I'm grieving. Like I didn't feel that there weren't too many people I could really share with, because I felt that it would to be honest with you, I lost some friends in my life like after this happened, because Daisy taught me this experience when she was alive, and after she passed taught me the depth of the human heart and just love. Like, she was love, and she taught me what love is and what it isn't. And I just had so many experiences about like heart perception, feeling from the heart, learning that the connection I had with her was purely from the heart, not in here, but in here. And then the people who understand this connection. And then the other thing I learned was how we are not taught how to grieve, like we're not taught how to grieve. It was like, boom, it just hit me. And it also hit me and made me realize that, wait a minute, I don't have the tools to deal with this. How come I don't? How come we don't talk about death? How come we don't prepare ourselves for death? How come we don't discuss it enough? I mean, and then learning that it's a part of life, learning when I learned through different teachers that I have, spiritual teachers, that death is a part of life. And, this was like, it was almost like, it wasn't that it was new to me, but it sort of was. And it really, I don't know if any of this is making sense, but it just made me realize that death is an event and the spirit still lives on. And it was just so interesting, because I had so many spiritual experiences after she passed. And this is part of why I wanted to talk about this, because there were so many things I used to hear before that I didn't really believe in. that I came to really experience after she passed away. And this goes on to share with you that I am now really interested in mediumship. I started, there was a church in close to me actually that I think it's a non-denominational church. I don't know much about churches, but it's one that's very open, and they offer mediumship groups, and I started with them already, and I really enjoyed it, and I really thought, this is something that I'm ready for now and that I wasn't before. So let me tell you something, and this is what I really want to share with you here. Two things I really want to share with, two experiences, because there were many, and hopefully throughout this time that I will be making videos, here and there I'll share some aspects of those experiences with you. But when Daisy passed away, I was at the hospital. She passed away. Literally, her heart stopped when I was in the parking lot. Like, the doctor called me that morning. Okay, so I'll just go back a little bit, talk about this, if I can stay strong enough and not to cry. So, when the night before she passed away, I talked to the doctor on the phone, and I was like, I gotta come and see Daisy now. I feel like she's not gonna make it tomorrow. And the doctor was like, no, that's a bad idea. And she's fine. She's better now than she was yesterday or this morning. But I just didn't feel it in my heart, and I woke up and I was like feeling so much pain in my heart, like literally feeling physical pain. So I went and grabbed my malachite chrysocolla crystal, and I put it on my heart because I was like, oh, I really need to soothe my heart. And I wore my crystal pendant, my malachite. For some reason, I was drawn to this malachite chrysocolla energy. And suddenly the doctor called, like literally 10 minutes later, and she was like, Daisy has stopped breathing. She's having trouble breathing. And I was like, oh my God. So I don't know what happened. I ran to the hospital, right? Like I grabbed all my stuff and ran. And then on the phone, she put me on the speakers. And so Daisy could hear me. And doctor just told me just to keep talking to her. So, oh my God, it was so hard to not cry and to like think of all the sweet stuff and just talk to her. So when I got there, her heart had stopped, like literally, I think 1 minute before I got in the room. And but the doctor said that when she said that as soon as Daisy heard my voice, her heartbeat slowed down, like she started getting very calm. So she knew I was there because the doctor told me it's the voice that matters right now. That's all that mattered, was my voice, not the fact that I was physically there. So anyway, when I came back home, I went to the bathroom, and my bathroom was like her sanctuary. Like she loved my bathroom. She would go in there and wait for me. She would be with me when I got ready and stuff. And then when I wasn't home, she would go and hang out in the bathroom. And then when I came home, she was waiting for me there. And throughout this time, like in the 8 months when she was sick, she went to the hospital many times. She stayed overnight in the hospital many times. And I never felt this except after she passed away. When I came home, when I went to the bathroom, it was like she was there. Okay, like, no, it was not like she was there. She was there. I could feel the same as when she was there. And this never happened when she hadn't passed away, when she was over at the hospital. Whenever I came home, I didn't feel this. But this time, I felt like she was there. And then part of me was like, nah, you're just feeling that because you're sad, because she just passed away. And then that night, I felt like when I went back to the bathroom that night, I felt there was a difference. 2 days later, it was completely different. The energy, she wasn't there. She was no longer there. So I know physically my experience told me that she was there. And I had heard this sort of thing before. I had heard people talk about like spirit of someone being somewhere. And I was like, meh, whatever. I never ever believed it. And when it happened to me, it was like, this is real, this is real. I was doubting it. But then afterwards, I felt the difference. I felt that she wasn't there anymore. And listen to this one. 2 days before, no, 2 days after, I was in my room, my bedroom, in the morning, first thing in the morning, and I heard her flying. I heard the sound of her wings flying from the bathroom. Swish, like the bathroom is right behind me. And this is the living room. She like flew in here. I heard it, and then I was thinking, nah, I'm probably gonna keep hearing her all the time. I never heard her again. It's been more than 2 months that she's passed away. I never heard her flying again. And that evening, the energy in my living room was so peaceful. I also went for a walk, and I remember the day after she passed away, it rained heavily for 2 days. And I came in the living room after this, the day where I felt that I heard her flying out. I came in my living room and I just felt so much peace. This peace, and then my computer has this problem. It restarts sometimes on its own. And on my screensaver, I have a picture of Daisy. And when I came home that night, when it was really peaceful here, my computer I had my computer on like Google or something, you know, so I couldn't see the desktop. But when I came home, my computer had restarted, and all I saw, first of all I sensed was peace, and all I saw was a picture of Daisy on my desktop, and then a flower that grew, which is so many things, like so many long stories. I don't want to talk too much about this, but these are just some little snippets of those experiences I'm talking about. But this peace lily, I have a plant that never flowered before, 3 years. And 3 days before she passed away, this flower, one single peace lily came out. And then later I learned that peace lilies are used for funerals, and they're symbol of death and rebirth. I mean, you just can't make this stuff up. Like, there's too much, there's too many. It's not just this 1 and 2, 3. I guess it's because I had such a strong heart connection with Daisy. Like, and the synchronicity again, that the herbalism teacher I've been studying with, that year when Daisy and I were spending a lot of time together, he talked a lot about heart perception, what it is, how to feel plant energy. And then I was learning with Judith Hill, studying medical astrology, which I still am, studying about the sun and how it's the magnetic, the storage battery of the magnetic force, the vital force. And I remember when I was studying this stuff, one time Daisy was sitting on my forehead. She used to sit on my forehead all the time, and I loved it. It was like a crystal sitting on my forehead, like so relaxing. And then just a month before she passed away, I kept like getting these really horrible headaches when she sat on my forehead. I was like, oh, I didn't want her to sit on my forehead because it would give me headaches. And I thought maybe I need glasses. But you know what? I could sense her electromagnetic field. That's what it was, because she was sick. She was dying, and I didn't know. I thought she's gonna get better. I mean, the doctor didn't know what was wrong with her until after she passed away. So it was like a very complicated thing. And so the thing is, like, when she used to sit on my forehead, it was always so peaceful. And then just before, like a month before her death, I started getting these headaches. And I was like, why is she giving me headaches when she sits on my forehead? You know, I thought I just needed glasses. But later on, I thought about it more, and I was like, you know, I just probably sensed the disharmony in her body. Even as I'm talking to you about this stuff, and I'm like, oh my God, this stuff sounds so weird. But I know who I'm talking to right now. I know who I'm talking with. And I know that most of you are not going to be like, oh, she's so weird, what is she talking about? Like, I'm sure a lot of you are going to tell me, I mean, I shouldn't say I'm sure, but I'm hoping that a lot of you are going to relate in some way. Maybe you can share with me in the comments if you've had any experiences after someone has passed away who was very close to you, if you've had any experiences with grief, how it's deepened your spirituality, your connection. Because as painful as it still is, I feel like I entered on a new level with my path that I hadn't before. When it comes to self-understanding, understanding my connection to to certain beings, my own relationship to others, heart-wise, and then my need to understand more about heart perception and how, you know, they say that neuroscientists say that the heart it's like a sensory organ, right? It's full of nerves, you know, we receive information from the heart, not just up there. So it's a really great subject to study. And if any of you are interested, there is Heart Math Center for this research that you can explore more. So yeah, I think in a sort of roundabout way, I did a video response to Mystic Rose Tarot, I hope. It wasn't really, you know, very systematic and linear, but I find I work better in a non-linear way anyway. So I think more insight comes when I can share just like that, rather than writing things on a piece of paper and going like 1, 2, 3, which I used to do because I thought that I could be more effective that way. But honestly, another thing I've realized through all this process of grieving and the things I've gone through is sometimes it's just better to be spontaneous, because spirit speaks to me in spontaneous ways. And synchronicity is huge. I have a little notebook, and one of these mornings when I was feeling so much sadness, I opened it up to write something in this notebook, and I found the quote, and I'm looking at it right now. It says, it's by Pema Levy, and I wrote, "In the face of death, what truly matters is what's still alive." And I wrote this quote, I heard this quote through an astrologer when I was part of a seminar about 3 years ago, and I totally forgot about that quote. And what is it that on that specific day, 3 years later, when I needed to hear that, I opened this book up and I received the message that I needed to hear? And what is it that, is this the same thing that happens when we pull a card? When we pull a tarot card, when we shuffle the cards, and it's like we get the message that was right for us, or what we needed to hear, or what we were running away from. Like we get the card that was meant to be giving us a message. And what is that? I guess in some ways it is synchronicity, because it works with that whole concept, whole idea. So yeah, that's what I wanted to share, I guess, in a nutshell. And again, I think it's also synchronistic that before making this video today, I had another thought for a video. I wanted to revisit this other video that I made a while ago that I titled, "Do You Sleep With Your Crystals?" And I thought, this was a really fun video that I made, and I liked it, and I liked sharing that. And it apparently is one of my most viewed videos, so I guess people also probably enjoyed it, or at least were interested in it. And I thought maybe I want to revisit that because my work with crystals has really deepened over the years. And also I used to work with crystals in different ways, but the only way that I didn't stop working with them, because a lot of the ways I used to work with them just kind of went in the back burner, it just didn't feel right anymore. But the one practice that I continued with every single night is sleeping with my crystals and working with them for dream work. And I thought, I want to talk about that again. I want to add to that. I want to share that again. You know, add what I've learned and explore it more through another video. And maybe that's what I'll do next, you know. And this morning, just before I made this video, like literally just before I came here to make this video, I got a comment on that video by somebody who was like going off like, no, you can't sleep with your crystals, you can't do that because it just like traps your energy. Crystals are not objects and they're spiritual tools and blah blah blah. Like she was just going on, and it made me laugh because, well, first of all, it made me laugh because I thought, she's saying they're not objects, but then she's calling them tools. So I'm like, isn't a tool an object? And then And then I was laughing because I thought that's so funny how people, especially with something like this, like working with crystals, because this is something that, there's no proven science as to like, it's not like taking medication where you're like, you shouldn't mix this with alcohol or you shouldn't mix this with that. It's not like we can tell anybody what to do, in my opinion. It's like we're still, even the crystal experts are always saying that we're still learning. We're still growing in our learning with crystals. Like growing with crystals, we're still learning a lot. And so it just doesn't like, it's like, what? How can anyone tell anyone what they should and shouldn't do in this particular case? So anyway, I just thought that was funny because I was thinking about revisiting that video and I was like, oh, okay. So I guess that's a good chance to talk about it again. So that's the video I'll be making next. And let's see, I don't want to make this video too much longer. It's already going on towards half an hour. So it was really great chatting with you. I'm so glad I got all of that off my chest. I hope it was somehow interesting for you, or at least maybe insightful in some way. So let me know what you think, if you have any experiences with any of the things I talked about, or if it made you think. Just say hello, and yeah, I always love hearing from you. Thank you so much for being here, and I'm sending you wonderful, beautiful blessings as always, and I hope to see everybody soon. Take care and be well. Kisses as always. Bye everyone.